Okay, well, let's get started so that we can make sure to get you out on time. Thanks for joining us. We are recording this, so we'll have to cut out the first 5 minutes. I just wanted to remind you that we have webinars the first Wednesday of every month. There's some exceptions. I think the first Wednesday of July is 4th of July, and we will not be having a webinar that month. So here's the agenda for today. We wanted to let you know about these great videos that Greg and David have done. I'm behind the scenes in a lot of these. I don't like to be in front of the camera, even now. So we've gotten a lot of really great feedback from those. So let's just get into this. You can see the agenda. I don't need to read it to you. So here are where the training videos are. We have a USB media YouTube page, site, something. And student data privacy is the official name of our little group. And we're trying to go for 3 CPO. Inside joke. But student data privacy is the official name, and we encourage you to go see those videos. We have a little bit of a competition amongst other departments, and it's kind of sad now how far ahead we are on the number of views. So to those programs, if you're listening, I'm so sorry. So we have here available to you a full-length video. I think that's 13 minutes long, and that goes over the very, very basics of FERPA, but it goes over 4 main FERPA exceptions. And exceptions are cases where you can disclose student personally identifiable information without parental consent. And so we have those 4 major exceptions. There are other exceptions. And David and Greg, you finished shooting yesterday, right? They finished shooting yesterday. We'll have the other FERPA exceptions, the miscellaneous ones is what we call them. Some of them just pertinent to those in higher institutions of higher education. But you guys had a good time. I don't want to give away too much about that video, but so here we have 4 full-length video and then the 4 major FERPA exceptions. So they're about 3 minutes apiece, 4 minutes apiece. And then by the end of this month, we are going to have a video with the miscellaneous FERPA exceptions, such as an accrediting institution for anyway, we have lots of other ones to JJS. Anyway, we're glad that David and Greg didn't get in too much trouble on their road trip of filming. We also have here on the list a video that we finished last month in January. It was what was it, December? It might have been December, but the Utah FERPA video. And Utah FERPA has been around since 1994. Orrin Hatch was the sponsor of that bill, I believe, and it's still pertinent today. So this is a way for you to train others, train yourself, and also to train teachers. David is Mr. Belding in this video. So they had a good time. We try to make these extremely accurate, not give anything more than the law, but we try to make them fun for you to watch and share. We got an email just this morning saying that
they liked it so much they were going to show it at their next family reunion.
Yeah, so that's fine. Now that they're out in the public, these are not private videos. Feel free to share them at family events. We know that data privacy is a super exciting topic, and so we try to tone it down. Anyway, it's a little bit of a joke. So enjoy those. This other item on the agenda, I'm really excited about. You guys can't see the guys here. Here, David, Greg. Yeah, see, they're all listening. Uh, Vetting educational applications was something that we've been working on for over a year. And we've been trying to figure out what LEAs would actually use. We know that a number of things have been developed and LEAs don't use them. They don't appreciate them because they're either not developed to meet their needs, or they already have processes in place at the local level. What we are working on is a pilot with Learn Platform. And Learn Platform has a lot of features that have really nothing to do with data privacy, but what they do have is they have the infrastructure with having the usage of all of these applications, and they also have the user roles as such that you can have some type of workflow with those user roles. So this is very, very new. We had our first meeting with this consortium yesterday. We have I'm really grateful for those a part of the consortium because they are really working hard to make a really good product that all LEAs, schools, teachers can utilize instead of having 150 LEAs vet the same application over and over again. So we're trying to keep the quality very high, and if this pilot is successful, we may seek to expand it statewide. You'll be receiving updates on how things are going. Again, yesterday was our first meeting, but these are what we're working on, standardizing what to look at in those privacy policies and those terms and conditions. Reading HTML, that's not a strength, not my strength. And then we are interested in developing a contract, an agreement, an MOA, however we're going to call this, that would be available to LEAs, and that when vendors sign the agreement with one LEA, it would be available for other LEAs to use that same agreement. Anyway, it's still in the works. I don't want to get too far down in the weeds. We have a meeting this afternoon about this, and the ball is definitely rolling. So we really hope that this is a successful pilot, and if it is, then we hope to reduce your burden of vetting everything. And okay, David. Okay, thanks for being patient. We realized that there was
It's great.
Some problems. So we wanted to let you know that we're coming out with a let's go to the right one. We're going to come out with an application for some grant money to complete the metadata dictionary entry, and to complete it accurately. Oops.
I didn't do that.
Go back one. And the application will be due sometime in the late spring, but one way to perhaps complete the requirements by then is to schedule a one-on-one training or review of your metadata dictionary entry. And we love to travel. There's 3 of us. We love to travel all over the state. We kind of have a love for rural areas, don't we? We'll come anywhere, but schedule those one-on-one trainings with Greg or through Greg, and one or more of us or Phil, or someone will come and walk through the metadata dictionary, your metadata dictionary with you. And some of you feel like you've entered everything in, and we've seen what those look like, and I think that is the reason we did these videos on the FERPA exceptions, because I don't think they were very well understood. And so look at those videos, look through your metadata dictionary, and schedule the one-on-one trainings. We originally thought that Oh, now we have video, I think, from here. We originally thought that let's take this down. We have great props, don't we? That large group trainings would be helpful, but I think we would rather just have one-on-ones. If you would like to with regional centers, that would be fine. We like to go to Richfield and the other regional centers, so please schedule that now so that we make sure that we can come and visit you. Also, if we're down south or east or west, we want to get the most bang for the travel buck. So let us know. Please schedule today. What's the next one? Do you want to talk about this, David?
Yes, we constantly get questions about what can be sent over email, what can't be sent over email. And there's a little picture there of a draft that we are currently working on that it's tricky because like there's local policies that have to be taken into account, but we're hoping that this could be very useful either to IT directors, data managers to help develop policies, or that could also be given directly to teachers so that they could know step by step the things that they should be looking for. As it currently says on it, it is a draft, but we are working to get that to you hopefully very soon. It's our goal by the...
I think by Friday
was
our goal, because this will be, we're hoping that this goes into the speedometer, which is the special education newsletter that they send out, and I think that's their deadline. Because they in particular receive a lot of questions because they're dealing with more sensitive information a lot of the times. And so anyway, we're very close. I think there's just spelling errors, and we wanted to move. Not our fault for spelling errors, right?
No, it just happens.
It just happens. Yeah, errors happen. So so we're getting a little closer to having that done by Friday, and we'll send that out. Educator training materials. Wanted to let you know that I met with iKeepSafe, and they have a full training course for educators along with a number of videos, and they're free, so I can tell you that they exist. Feel free to take a look. They have kind of these cute cartoon graphics that are fun to watch, but we are developing the educator relicensure course that'll be done by June 30th. Greg's working on that because in Board Rule R277487, there is a requirement for relicensure for teachers to take this course beginning July 1st. So it will be done by then. Want to take this one?
We have met with our various committees. So we have our policy advisory group, which consists of some board members, some community stakeholders, a member of the state legislature, and we have our, we call it the users group that consists mostly of LEA level people, and we have been working with them for the past couple of months to have proposed changes, most of which are just technical, getting the language to conform more clearly with FERPA, make it clear where we didn't intend to override FERPA in cases where we did. So that bill is currently being drafted. We're getting a little anxious. We actually wrote Senator Anderegg, who is the one who originally introduced the bill, and asked him, when is it going to be numbered so it becomes available? And what was his response, Whitney?
He teased us a little and said, I decided not to run the bill. And then David and I and Greg had a heart attack. And then 30 seconds later, he wrote the email, just kidding, haha, that it should be numbered by the end of this week. So
yeah, be on the lookout for that. And if you want to know in detail any of the changes we are proposing, I think we were also trying very hard to make sure that it wasn't going to create any extra burden, if anything, making your lives easier. But go ahead and contact us, and we can explain in more detail what we were thinking.
Sure.
Okay, I'll take this one. This is kind of a heads up for everyone. Earlier, I think it was a week ago, maybe, the Department of Education released some of the communications they've been having with a cyber charter school in eastern Pennsylvania called Agora regarding their violation of FERPA. And I think it's pretty relevant for everyone to be aware of. I think particularly our online schools, just to make sure that you are not doing what Agora was doing so that you don't get in any kind of trouble. So basically, Agora, as an online school, required anyone who signed up to use an online service that was K-12, I think is what it was called, K-12 education provider, something like that. So to sign up for the school, you had to do that because that's how they delivered their classes. As it turns out, K-12 had really horrible privacy policies. They were basically redisclosing the data to whomever they felt like. And it was a requirement then basically for parents to even send their kids to the school that they had to waive their FERPA rights. And the Department of Education let Agora know that this is not an acceptable practice. So if you are requiring students to use a certain vendor, which we recognize would be much more likely in an online school, but not necessarily, you need to make extra sure that they are completely in line with the school official exception within FERPA. Otherwise, you cannot require your students, you cannot require parents to sign off on it. It would constitute a violation of their rights under FERPA. And so, yeah, that's basically what I say here. If a school requires an ed tech service be used as a condition of enrollment, that service must either comply with FERPA's school official exception, or parents must be given the right to opt out, which would be very tricky if it's the service provider you're using. You'd have to provide an alternate service provider. So that ends up being problematic. So again, if you have any questions, if you have any concerns with any of your current policies or providers that you're using, please get in touch with us and we will try and help you figure that out. Okay, let's talk about Europe briefly, which is all that this probably requires. So there's, if you were in big business, let's say, or higher education especially, there's a lot of talk about the General Data Protection Regulation in the European Union, which technically it affects slightly more than the European Union. It's the European Economic Association members, so European Union plus Iceland and Norway. You might think, well, what does that have to do with me? Well, the issue is that if you have anything that touches these countries in some way, then you might actually be affected by it. And they take data protection and privacy very seriously in Europe, far more so than we do here in this country. It does have extra-national reach, potentially, and is heavily punitive, penalties up to 20 million euros. Now, with that said, it's probably not going to affect most of you, but there are a couple of cases where it might. One of the big ones is if you take trips to any of these countries that I just said, so European Union or Iceland and Norway, then while you are there, these students are protected under GDPR. It doesn't just apply to citizens of these countries, it applies to individuals within the countries. So if you take any kind of study abroad trips with students, and we are aware of at least one school in the state that does, you might want to familiarize yourself with these regulations. The other case would be if you are using your school website to recruit students from any of these countries. I don't think that's generally the case with K-12. Higher education is far more concerned with this and having to deal with it. And then the last case would be if you are traveling to any of these countries to recruit faculty or teachers, because it doesn't just apply to students, it applies to literally anyone in the country. So if you are going there, we actually found out that our dual immersion program, we actually do send USBE staff there to Spain every year to interview teachers. The documents that are created while there would fall under GDPR. And it's the dark blue countries, for those who asked. Whitney just answered, yeah. So not Switzerland, not Belarus, not the former Yugoslavia, not Turkey, but all of the other countries there. So again,
David's very good at it. You're good at geography.
I'm very good at it. Well, I used to live in Europe. So the point being,
Me too, I was Switzerland.
Yeah, I was hungry. The point being, if you are I know a lot of people are just kind of like, oh, well, that's Europe, it doesn't affect me. And then the more they look into it, they realize, oh, actually, this might affect us. I don't think for K-12, unless it's one of these 3 cases, you need to be worried about it. If you think like it might affect you, again, contact us and we can give you more. I think for the most part, most of you don't need to know more than just this little heads up. Okay, and then I wanted to also close on contracts because this is a question we're getting more and more, and we have our consortium, like Whitney already mentioned. But there tends to be some confusion as to, when do I need to get a contract with a vendor? When do I need to send them an addendum to sign? So the contract requirement is in the Student Data Protection Act, and it only says there's a couple of things you have to do. One of them is, so there needs to be a requirement in writing related to the collection, use, storage, and sharing of student data, and what they can and can't do with it. So who they can share data with. Something in there about deleting data. If you have a third-party provider and you want them to delete certain data, they need to do it. That's part of the school official direct control exception. There needs to be some sort of prohibition about secondary use. And I lost my screen for a second, but there's also language in there that says you should be able to audit to verify compliance. We are hoping, actually, this is one of our revisions, to get that changed. Audit is a very strong word. We're hoping to just get that changed in the new version of the bill to simply say monitor, to request evidence of compliance, so that you wouldn't have to perform a full audit. They could just demonstrate that, yes, we did delete the data. With that said, a vendor's terms of service and privacy policy may be sufficient to meet this requirement. When you are signing a terms of service, under the law, that is considered a contract. So if everything in those 2 places appears to meet these requirements, you do not need to seek an addendum or an additional contract or an MOA or any of that. Likewise, we get the question a lot about if it's something that's actually contracted with USBE. So like AIR, ACT, if USBE has the contract, we have already vetted it according to our processes. You don't need to seek any additional addendum or anything like that with those vendors. Unless you are receiving additional services, the one that usually comes to mind is DIBELS. The state of Utah, USBE has only contracted for K through 3. I know many districts have contracts for additional grades. If that is the case, you will want to make sure that that vendor is providing services in line with the contract requirement of the Student Data Protection Act. But if it's signed through USBE, you don't have to. There's some kind of, I want to say, like, not necessarily para-state agencies. We've gotten a lot of questions about the STEM Action Center, which is not USBE, but they're, it's a state level thing. We're looking into that in terms of if the agreement that those vendors already have through the STEM Action Center suffices, or if you would need to do anything. I'm personally of the opinion if it doesn't suffice with STEM Action Center, then we need to get STEM Action Center to seek the addendum, not every single LEA. Mm-hmm. But that's in early stages of investigating.
Well, I just wanted to remind you of our webinars that we're going to have the first Wednesday of every month. You can see, I mentioned this before, that July is not on there. Have a great 4th of July. That's something we have to say in February, right? And that we record all of these webinars, and a lot of the things we say are extremely up to date, I would say. We wait until, to give you the most pertinent, up-to-date information that we can. So if you watch them a little later on, it might not be as helpful. We have a site on UEN, but we are eventually migrating that over to USBE. We're reviewing that website. It's been developed and it's in the staging phases. Also, it's pretty far in advance, but many of you came out to the Student Data Privacy Conference just a few months ago. We plan on doing that again, and we will let you know of those dates as soon as those become available. So I think that's our last slide. We'll open this up to any
questions in the chat.
Any questions? We started late and ended early. Are there any questions out there?
Greg has an additional thing we don't have a slide for.
Oh, okay. Greg?
Ogden project. Part two.
Oh, yes, that's right. Come in. Tell them
This
about
will be
that.
mostly me and Greg. So.
I guess it's that camera, huh? We are looking for a few good school districts / charter schools, LEAs of any type, who feel like they need an extra hand with anything with the Student Data Protection Act, whether it's your data governance plan or Metadata Dictionary or training. And if you feel like you need David and I and Whitney to come out and help with that process, like you feel like you've kind of got it, but maybe you need some help, we'd be happy to come out and help with all those steps. And we did it with Ogden School District recently, and then they presented at the conference, and they had a lot of good things to say about it. And now they're kind of just doing their own thing, and that's kind of where we got them to. So if you would like that help, just reach out to David or myself, and we will do that.
And I should also say, we do have a couple that we've noticed have not submitted their data governance plan or completed the training, and we'll be reaching out to some of you as well. I think it's worth probably mentioning kind of the expectation, because I know that was, for those of you who attended the conference and attended Ogden's session, I know that was a frequent comment, was simply like, wow, this is really great. We don't have the time, we don't have the number of people to like do it that frequently. And we understand that, and it's okay. I think, at the very least, it would start off with kind of a, we like to travel in at least twos. So, at least two of us come out, maybe the whole team, want to sit down with, whoever is assigned as your data manager, whoever else you can get there. If you can get someone, from your superintendency, your principals, I guess we didn't really have principals, but kind of whatever stakeholders you can get, and, let's just sit and talk for an hour, maybe 2 hours, and kind of talk about here's what needs to happen, here's what resources are available, and then after that we can start looking into how frequency the frequency we need to like follow up, if we can handle more stuff simply through webinars, although this one gives me loads of confidence in the technology in holding more meetings this way. The point being that and we've said this before, that the state got most of the funding related to the Data Privacy Initiative, so we are more than willing to come out. This is what we live and breathe every day. Recognize lots of you have other things that this is like taking extra time for you to learn about FERPA and things like that. So we're more than happy to come out and help you get your policies looking good and in compliance, or just even existing, which for some of you is honestly a fantastic first step. Anything else we want to say on that?
That's all. So I think our goal is just to help out 2 LEAs in depth, and with Ogden, I think they would give us really good reviews. We came out, I would say, every other week for an hour. It
depends on the distance as well. That's what we did with Ogden. Like if you're in southern Utah, like
there might be
we can come out, just not with the same frequency, but we can definitely come.
Exactly, but come out, meet, totally working around your schedule. But we only want to work with those that are wanting to make those changes. This is kind of we don't come and judge the policies, or just we just want to really understand what's going on and provide that help. So reach out to David or Greg or myself and let us know. We would probably be able to help a lot more starting in March, April, and May as the legislative session's paring down. But yeah. Anyway, anything else? Any other questions out there? Okay, Jerry's just
telling you to subscribe.
Subscribe.
Like and subscribe.
Oh, just subscribe to your YouTube channel. I guess we have a YouTube. Should we send them the link to our YouTube channel?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't have the link. We need to talk more like my 9-year-old does. Because you all have kids, right? Who all talk like they're YouTubers now? We didn't start that way. We got to start with, what's up, guys? Data privacy here. And end with, click the subscribe button and give us lots of likes if you like what you see.
I'm finding the link. Oh, you got it. Oh, here it is.
But they have to subscribe to our
Oh, they have to, well, that's good.
Well, that's
right?
good. You'll get the updates from CMP, who I
Oh,
mean, they need all the
gotcha.
help they can get in our contest for most viewed video supremacy.
Yeah, yeah, poor
Did we tell them
CMP.
about
They
the
used to
LastPass
be,
video already? They know
I
that?
believe we have.
Okay.
I guess we can bring that to their attention. Do you want to show them where that video is? I think you're sharing your screen, David, so if you went to it. One of,
We just
want me to give you the link? There is a LastPass video that, here it is, that has quite a few views.
Could probably get there.
It's kind of more of one of your more obnoxious ones, I would say. Okay, I'll
You
Google
would
this.
say. I thought it was
Let's see.
hilarious.
Okay.
777 people.
There you go. I sent you the link.
Can't be
I
wrong.
jabbered the link to you.
Oh.
So it's essentially a tutorial on how to sign up for LastPass. And LastPass is a free password manager program. And if we played it, would it play for folks?
I don't know.
Give it a
With
try.
the audio.
I don't know. I don't know if folks can hear it.
Well, yeah.
Anyway,
There's lots of videos over here on the right. Yeah.
and then we have a playlist of those that we haven't developed, but we think are pretty good. Ours are better, but theirs are pretty good. Jerry's laughing at me. It is, everything's a contest.
We just had a question about who to email.
Let's see. Probably Greg. Are you putting your email in? Okay.
Yeah, generally, if you want something out in the field, since Greg's our trainer, like if you send it to Whitney or I, we just forward it to him.
All the training materials, if they have them.
Oh, and if you've already done your training but you didn't send us a copy of the training materials, also send those to Greg.
I think we're done.